everybody, Tim here. Thank you for coming to the channel, and I am finally getting around to episode 4 of recording on no budget. This time I'm working on the guitars for the song. I've actually pretty much got them done, but I wanted to talk about them a bit with you guys today and show you what I did. But before I do that, I have to admit something. I give up. I can't do it. I mean, try as hard as I might, I just cannot make it the way I want it to be. And it's because I'm not a drummer. Those drums you heard at the beginning, that was me completely giving up. I decided to admit when I am beyond the scope of my capabilities and ask for some help. So I contacted my buddy Eric Brock, and he was kind enough to lay down some drums for me and send it to me to use with the song. So Eric, thank you so much. If you guys are not already subscribed to Eric's channel, I'm going to leave a link down in the description to get over to his place. And he mostly does videos about guitars, but Eric is also a really, really good drummer. So please go over there and check his stuff out. That's also where we do the other show that I'm on with him, The Opinionated Musings of, and that's all over on his channel. So, moving on now. Okay, so laying down the rhythm guitars for this song, I didn't want to just have, you know, a straight eighth note rhythm like you hear in a lot of 80s songs. I wanted to try and get away from that, you know, just something where you're... You know, that gets very boring over time, so I decided to try and mix things up. I'm not really going to be playing a whole lot of stuff from the song itself because I don't want you guys to get sick of hearing this before we get done with it and I actually debut the tune for you. So let's head over into Reaper and I'll show you what I have set up. Okay, so here we are. I am using the free version of Amplitube 4 for all the guitars and all the basses on the track. They have just released Amplitube 5, and I'm probably going to be getting that, but I don't want to change over in the middle of a project, so we're going to wait a few weeks on that one. But right now, as you can see, I've got what is basically a Marshall model pulled up, and just giving us a very straight ahead, just classic rock kind of a crunch tone. Let's take a little deeper dive into what's going on there. So the amp head is there on the screen. Let's look at the stomps I got with this one. I've got just a little bit of an overdrive right in front of my compressor, and then just an EQ to kind of find some where I had some little wonky sounds in there. So I kind of dialed those out down in the bass and down here in the mid. Boosted a little of the higher mids, and that's where you're kind of getting that presence that you're hearing. Okay, now I actually put down 2 rhythm guitars. We'll get to the other one in a minute. Let's finish taking a look at this one first. Let's look at the cabinet section of the plug-in. See what I got going on there. Okay, so I got a condenser mic and I've got a dynamic mic. The dynamic mic is on the left here, and then the condenser's hanging on the right. I've got them a little bit off of the cones of the speakers, and I've got them pulled back just a hair. And you notice up here that I've got some room mics spread apart, and we're in the studio room of the Amplitube plug-in, and I've got a metal V3 cabinet. Now, all of these are stuff that you can get free with the base version of Amplitube, except for the metal stuff. Keep a watch out because Amplitube has been doing a lot of stuff over the past few months where they were giving away packs for free. I don't know how soon that's going to happen now that Amplitube 5 is out, but you know, I got a lot of stuff free. So again, no money out of pocket. Recording on no budget. And that gives us the tone I've been playing here so far. Now you notice notice there's not a lot of bottom end in that sound, and that's on purpose. That's so that it doesn't really interfere with the bass guitar and the drums when I get further on into my mix. Let's take a look at the other rhythm guitar. Okay, so I layered two different guitars. I've only got my one electric guitar, so in order to sound a little more interesting, maybe sound like there's two people playing in a band, I dialed in a little bit of a different tone. I didn't want to go drastically different because I want them to, you know, mesh together in your ears better, but I panned them apart and I made the sound on each side slightly different, and I also made them play slightly different parts. And again, I stuck with the Marshall head here, but this one you'll hear on the other side has a little bit of a different flavor to it. Let's take a look at what I got going on there. In the stomps, again, I stuck with the same stomp configuration so that they were similar enough that they'd work together, but I changed the EQ settings, I changed a little bit of the drive settings, and they just kind of sound nice together to my ears. Go back over to the cabinet. Slightly different cabinet model. Instead of the V3, I used the F1. Left the same mic configuration and just kind of dialed in the placement of them a little bit. The placement of the microphone, just like in real life, can really dramatically affect the tone of the guitar. So if you're really having trouble finding that tone, especially in a plug-in, man, it takes no time at all to just drag the mics around in front of the cabinet and see what kind of changes it makes. You can really dramatically alter your tone that way. Okay, so here I want to just show you both of the sounds together. I'm going to be playing the same part. I'm just running through both amps at once right now. You'll hear it in both sides of the speakers if you got headphones on. And here's what the tones sound like when they're together. Now, I was going for kind of a classic rock, kind of a little bit jangly, out of control kind of vibe. I think I got pretty close with this one. All right, let's talk a little bit about lead guitar. All right, so for my lead tone for this track, I did decide to go a little more straightforward in a more metal sense. Pulled up a 5150 model in Amplitude. They just call it the 150W. But that's clearly an Eddie Van Halen amp, my man. And over in the stomps, I stayed a little straightforward. I didn't put an EQ in the chain here, and I flip-flopped my compressor and the drive pedal. And then over in the in the rack, I did put a few things in there. I put a digital delay, graphic EQ, and a digital reverb. The preset I pulled up had this pitch shifter already loaded in it, but I bypassed that. I didn't really need that for the sound. And back in the cabinets, I got the vintage M1 cabinet. Now you're wondering, if I used the metal cabinet on the classic rock rhythms, why didn't I use a metal cabinet on the lead, which is more of a metal tone? This one just sounded better to my ears with this tone. What can I say? You know, I experiment a lot with the cabinets. I play through the cabinet selections, and I move the mics around a lot. I spend a lot of time doing that, more than I do trying to dial in effects and dial in the head. I mean, I do make some adjustments on the head depending on, you know, what my guitar sounds like through it. I start there, I get kind of close, but then the real sweetening and meat of the sound comes from the cabinet and the mics. Now, there's a lot of noise in the preset. I am going to gate that out when I get to my mixing stage. All right, let's talk a little bit about the lead. Okay, so when I originally wrote this tune and I started doing the lead, I didn't really know a whole lot about my scales on the guitar. I had studied piano and taken some music theory in high school, so I knew what scales were, how they worked. I just hadn't practiced them a lot on 6 strings. So I kind of just stayed in a really box pentatonic scale, but something about it never really quite worked. The song's in the key of D, so you would think that a D pentatonic would work. And if I just use those notes, it does. But if I tried to actually use like a D minor, because the main riff of the song is D, F, C. So you'd think a D minor scale would work. It didn't. It almost worked, but something still sounded kind of off. And then I thought, well, maybe it's because the bridge that leads into the solo, maybe I'm playing the wrong key there, because the bridge that leads into the solo goes E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. And F sharp isn't in the D minor scale. Well, wait a minute, does that mean it's a D major? Well, no, D major didn't work at all. So I started really sitting and piecing out the progression of the song, and it struck me that all of the chords of the song, with the exception of that one measure in the bridge where I start in E minor, is in C major. But it starts on D. And then a light bulb went off in my head, and I thought, holy crap! I'm in a mode. I didn't even realize it. I'm in Dorian mode. It's the key of C major, but it starts on D. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. And suddenly my lead worked. I couldn't believe, how many years have I been playing this, trying to find a lead that worked, and I'm always having to kind of shift back and forth between E minor and D minor and D major something, and nothing was working right. Dorian mode. I've never practiced a mode in my life. I've practiced major scales and minor scales, and I just kind of stick to those. So that was really a shock for me to find out I was in a Dorian mode of all things. All right, I know I said a little bit ago that I was not going to be playing a lot of clips from the song, but I am going to make an exception because I want you to hear a little bit of the solo, because I'm kind of happy with how it's coming out. Now, again, this is work in progress. And so the mix isn't really dialed in yet, but I'm happy with where things are going. I just want to show you the bridge and the first part of the solo. Here we go. We'll be working on vocals next. And these were a lot of those places where I was talking about where D minor wasn't quite working and nothing else really was fitting until I hit on D Dorian. Alright, so there we have it. That's the guitars in progress. I still got a little more work I'm going to do on them. Some other stuff I'm going to throw in there. But next up, I'm going to be working on the vocals. And again, I want to thank my pal Eric for throwing in some drums for me. That is so helpful. It's really difficult when you're not a drummer yourself to try and find something that fits. None of the loops I was coming across were fitting. I tried another plugin called Jamsticks, which seems like it's really, really cool. Unfortunately, right now, starting it in the middle of a project, the learning curve was a little bit too steep for my taste, so I just called in a pro. Alright guys, that is about it for today. If you guys wouldn't mind, please subscribe to the channel so you'll get notified when I put out new videos and you can keep up with this series, and it really helps me out as well. Speaking of helping me out as well, I have decided to sign up for some affiliate marketing. Can get you some affiliate links for Amazon stuff. I'll put a few links down in the description to some of the gear I've been using here if you guys are interested in picking up some of that stuff. Again, it's an affiliate link, so I do get a kickback on that. That would really help me out a ton if you would use those. And if you've got some gear that you would like to get a link for and help me out even further, let me know what it is. I'll find something for you. And finally, one more announcement I've got to make. I finally have something gone live that I've been wanting to get started for a while now. As we lead up into the release of this tune, Timothy-E-Brown.com is a website, and it's mine. You should go check it out, really. And I've got more of my affiliate links over there, and links to my Instagram, the TikTok stuff I've been doing, Facebook feed, and I always put the link to the YouTube channel over there as well. If you guys wouldn't mind giving that a look-see when you get a moment, I would really appreciate it, and I will see you next time.